Hello and welcome to Awaking Dreamin'. It's what episode 7 finally. Going to be a talk about basically the awakening process at the very beginning, the instant type of chaos that you go through your first year, maybe like the first 2 years or just whatever the time frame is for you, the first initial boom of waking up and being like, "Oh my God, there's way too much more to this place than I thought there was before. This is crazy. Whoa, I can do whatever I want. I can fly. Obviously, you can't. Don't try that. Um,
Don't try that. No jumping off buildings.
uh-uh, uh-uh. Nope. Let's not do that. But as you guessed and got the point, we'll be diving into the topic of how to settle yourself, balance yourself, and how to go through the awakening process without losing your head because it's easy to do that even if you do get a guidebook informed, you know, by like whatever, either a person that's been going through the awakening process for like tens of years or whatever, or if you even try and communicate with people to keep yourself balanced and grounded, like it still doesn't really work out the best. Doesn't matter how long you're going through this, what's happening, or what you pick up along the way, you might still have difficulties on not just grounding out into reality and having a steady baseline where you are obviously connected to whatever is of truth, and the practical, but also, all of the questions on mental health and emotional stability and just in general living a happy life, regardless of all of the magic and unicorns that flow everywhere once you start awakening.
Correct. So this is Awaken Dreaming. My name is Jess, and this is Yuta.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a really interesting episode. This is really a basic guide. So this is whether you have gone through an awakening. Also, as well, I do want to point out for those who have already awakened, there is at times as well we go through a second awakening. Um, So this is also a guide for if you're going through that second awakening of like, hang on a second, everything's changing again. I'm waking up to a whole bunch of new stuff that being overwhelmed with that feeling. This is a guide, I guess, for you guys to avoid the basic standard pitfalls that are there.
Hmm. Yep. And besides that, I do want to add, if you're awakening, it's kinda, uh, the beginning of it is euphoric, and you believe or think that, hey, everyone should awaken, or hey, that this is like something that everyone goes through, everyone will go through, or this is the high road to life and the actual, like, bee's knees on how to be human, at this current
Hmm.
point in time on Earth, which isn't true. If you're going through an awakening, do not rope in anyone with you. If they're gonna need to go through an awakening, they will do it in their own time, and they will have you there to help them, and if they need it. But you don't need to, go preaching or go like trying to initiate everyone into spirituality or whatever your faith and belief is about, energy or other things. Because at the end of the day, awakening doesn't happen to everyone. It happens to people that are ready and actually ask for it and want it and like either push for it, or if you're a little bit unfortunate, you do want to be normal, but the universe has other plans for you and you're roped in regardless because it's just time. You can't prolong it too much longer. You've had enough like time to pause and reflect and not do it. So if anything, do be caring, about or around people that have either other like opposite opinions from you or aren't like spiritually awakening, and know that even people that aren't, faithful, religious, or this, that, or the other can be still helpful for you during your, experience of whatever spiritual, stuff that might be happening.
Mm. And it's important as well to to kind of point out with this that sometimes the soul, and when I talk about soul, I'm talking about the core essence of who we are. Sometimes the soul just chooses not to experience wakening up, to see everything. They actually want the experience of being blind to that side of things. And there is nothing wrong with a person choosing to do that.
Mhm.
Um, of course, that can make it hard for us as individuals that do see that other side of the reality. But those people are also there to help ground us and keep us present, which we're going to get into a bit more, a bit later in the episode.
Yep. Uh, Overall, don't have it black and white. Spirituality is a amazing thing, but everyone has their own free will and choice, and it doesn't make any real difference, honestly. Only to you and your own personal experience. That's where the true difference lies. Doesn't do anything else.
But that's 100% right. It's spirituality is such a personal thing. It's not about everyone else. It's not even about everyone else within the spiritual community. You're going to resonate with particular people, and you're not going to resonate with other people. Um, and then you may change that resonance if you go through that second awakening where you change your perspective and what you see and what you believe. But I think this kind of leads us into the, I guess, the first major pitfall. And this is honestly, this is a big one,
Hmm.
which is losing your identity to the awakening process. And what I mean by that is as you start to wake up, quite often you don't connect with the world the same way that you do, which has this great sense of, well, who am I? What do I do? How do I act and react in the world? Do I still hang out with those friends? Don't I hang out with those friends? Do I do that thing? No, that thing feels weird now. I can't do that anymore because I don't feel the same way about it, which creates this great sense of loss and confusion as to who am I, right? And that's not an easy thing to go through. Any kind of loss of identity, it, on a purely mental sense, is draining. It's confusing, and it quite often creates a lot of chaos and you making decisions that you generally wouldn't make, um and not knowing what's the right answer for you, which can lead to, at times when people start to wake up, people trusting people they shouldn't trust because they're like, oh well, they know better and I don't really know who I am anymore, but I believe in this thing and they believe in this thing and they tell me this is the right way to go.
Yep. I mean,
um
in general, the whole awakening process is very much centered around confidence. But the issue there with confidence is you have to have confidence on the point that you don't know what the hell is happening and you're losing your shit, and it's okay because life isn't about knowing all of the answers. We
mhm,
all kind of have this belief that hey, it's about achieving goals, setting that up, and also knowing everything, finding it out, and taking that to your deathbed and being the very best at all of the points that you can be. When in reality, honestly, it's more about you going through the experience and feeling of who you are as well as where you are and what that is and how it grows you as a person or maybe provides you with whatever feelings, experiences that you do desire or don't desire. Um, but
mhm,
that confidence has to be balanced because you have to have confidence obviously in the point that you don't know what's happening or how it's happening, but also you need confidence in being like I need help, or hey, I do need to maybe like have an open mind, think about this, settle myself, and um do this the way I think I need to, or have like the opportunity to figure out within my own experience with mistakes, with flaws, on what is what, and still having that, open view of like there's people still involved. There's not a better teacher, but there's a support system, and it's okay to be where you are, going where you're gonna go, or finding that out.
My major advice for this particular pitfall is to actually stop and take your time. Don't go changing 1,000 things in your life. Slowly change things. Like, sit with the ideas of, like, if there's something you want to throw out of your life, like you've got a collection of I don't know what, and you're like, I can't have it anymore because of my awakening. Um, sit with it. See if that, in a week, 2 weeks, a month, if you still have that same opinion. Because the reality is waking up, yeah, there's aspects that are of you that are going to change, but there are aspects of you that are still going to remain the same.
Hmm.
And in the confusion, we can get lost as to what's still with us and what we're changing.
Yep, that's exactly it. My personal like definition on all of that is, it kind of feels like you've had a core that you didn't really look at, but was there the whole entire time, and then the shell that you made around it just kind of got shattered. But at the same time, it doesn't, really mean anything, because you don't know what the core is, and you don't know what was useful of the shell that grew out of the core to begin with,
Mm,
regardless if it's just like for a moment in time or whatever. Um, what you made up of yourself in terms of that identity still counts. So it's kind of finding out what is still of that and kind of isn't, and going through the cycle and the changes of the seasons. And it's hard because you have to look at everything again with a fresh pair of eyes. Some things seem like they pop out more so than others. Usually, when there's a bit more stability within your identity or who you want to become or somehow change into, you notice what actually worked before whatever
mm,
internal shattering you had, and also what of the core is just there and that's it. You don't need to over glorify it or this, that, and the other.
mm. But it is a part of it. There's no avoiding. I don't think I've met a person that's gone through an awakening and they haven't gone through some form of identity crisis of, well, who am I now? What do I do is like daily life? Is my daily life changing or is it staying the same?
Mhm.
And that's going to be different for everyone. Some people are going to do 10,000 spiritual practices in a day, and other people are just not going to do it. And they're going to continue in life and occasionally do something.
Mhm.
Both answers are right.
Yep.
You just need to figure out which one's right for you.
Yet
Um,
I'm also gonna like reaffirm this point. It's not the age of the guru. You don't need to follow anyone. You don't need to take up everything you read about everything that is spiritual to take it true. You also don't need to, look at anyone else that either has a different practice of spirituality or whatever and be like they're better than me. Um, you're fine where you
and
are at right now.
I mean, and even us while we're talking about this, we have our own experiences and our own understandings. That doesn't mean that our way of doing everything is going to work for you or is right for you. Works for us. We might be the only people on the planet that that thing works for, and it doesn't work for anyone else.
Yeah, exactly.
But you might try it, and that might work for you.
At the end of the day, there'll be some interesting stories that we can share and connect on, even if it's not 110% relatable, and even if it isn't really applicable to, one side or the other. Um, Life's mostly about sharing and connecting. When it comes to this stuff, there's no real right answer. Like, just in general, for anyone that's interested in all of the new agey spiritual whatever thingies and topics that are around, you can go through. I'm just gonna list five. There's spirituality in terms of pagan, a pagan perspective where there's elementals, there's animals, there's just runes and other things like that. Then you have Psychonautica or the Matrix. They're kind of, I'd say those communities are the same, but at the same time they're completely two different people because one uh, like relies on psychology a lot more than the other, but there's a mixed line of spirituality within it. Then you have a bunch of people that just follow whatever faith or religion they grew up in, and then that shifts out and changes into something. Witches, or I don't know, there's business people even that get into manifesting and like the power of the mind and all of this, that, and the other, and mindfulness specifically, which
But
is,
the secret book that was so huge.
yeah, The Secret. So that's just like listing the top five that you'll probably come across like instantly, but there's no right or wrong. It's just people are experiencing or exploring the same subject and topic from completely different avenues, or perspectives within the collective. That's
Mhm.
about it.
And there are, for me, there's a few more that pop up at least in my community, which is obviously like plant medicine and those type of things. And then you've got like goddess, standing in your own power, your own truth type things. And there's so many more. To be perfectly honest with you, there are so many more within the different nuances within the community. Shamans would be another one,
Hmm.
which is fits into your plant medicine there. Um, Figure out where you fit is
Yep.
also a good way to what's calling you
Yep.
um, to step into. So that's that first, I guess, pitfall, the big one. You can get lost in there. I will say, if you do throw away your like identity that you did have, what tends to happen um, is a few months later, you go through a reevaluation process that you almost go through a second reawakening
Yep.
stage where it's almost the reversal where you're starting to bring stuff back from the past in. Um, and you can sometimes even fully pull away from spirituality if you've gone too far. I've seen people go into spirituality, they really dive deep into it, and then they hit that wall and they just pull out. They're like, "Nah, it's too much. I can't. I've lost myself. I'm
Hmm.
done."
Yep.
Um, so that's a possibility of that pitfall if you don't take it slow, if you just dive straight in head first.
It's also a really hard one to come back from because you feel like you've done something immensely wrong against yourself, by
Hmm.
taking whatever chance that you had presented to you from yourself. Um,
Yep.
if that happens, don't worry about it. In general, a good rule is also you can always add on top. You can't really take away too much that you experience within spirituality. So take steps like up that are, small increments you feel comfortable with, and you can like take steps back from. Because if you're just gonna do a huge jump and then experience that, it's not going to be a great time. At the end of the day, you're doing this to experience the best of you. One of the most biggest, scariest things within spirituality is the belief that your world is out to get you, or not even your world, just the world surrounding you, people, the government, anything within the woods. There's invisible things stalking you and telling you this, that, and the other, and there's just a lot of terror with that because obviously risk of losing your identity, not recognizing yourself anymore, having deep conversations where you realize a lot of internal either trauma or emotions, then everything surrounding you seeming like a reflection of something completely different, although you've obviously grew up in this world and had many years here. Um, the what is vilification a word? Like when you make
Mm.
something a villain. There we go. That's it. Um, doing that to any other aspect outside of yourself is not gonna help you because there's no real dynamic of you being the good guy or whatever underdog or hero and then there being a force outside of yourself that's out to get you or attack you or whatever. Um, yes, there are like appearances or experiences like that, and in general, there's definitely a bunch of probably if you have had a experience with like significant trauma from other people, maybe that's still around, but at the same time, don't don't go overboard with the whole point of like everything else is a lie and a farce, and it's dangerous to me, um,
Mhm.
because when your mind kind of gets blown open into all of the different dynamics that are playing out on the planet, we as humans are really empathetic, sympathetic. We want to help, we want to feel and experience more love. So it's really easy instead of focusing on, love to focus on, well, this is what's actually happening and what's ruining absolutely everything. How can we fix this, that, and the other? They're fucking monsters, and the outrage actually works against you horribly in the long run because investing in that experience way too much or attaching to it will eventually just create a avalanche in the future where you have your own realizations on how to let go all of those angry predispositions against whatever identity you find to do that with. My personal one was the government, fuck the government, this, that, and the other, and whatever. At the end of the day, I figured out in about 2, 3 years' time that the government was never my issue, and I actually just got pissed off on things and took that on from not being like woke, spiritual, whatever, onto being spiritual and woken. It helped, but I've seen so many people stuck in that, and it's really like it hurts every time because I'm like, you don't need to focus on that. I get you. Life's not all terror.
No, and I think particularly with this pitfall that the world is out to get you, one of the things is it doesn't have to be big things. Like I remember very early on into my awakening, someone told me like, "Oh, well, don't drink coffee. That affects your spiritual abilities." And and I was like, I was thinking at the time, like, what? Like coffee's bad now? Like, what does the world come to? Like, you're telling me that if I'm spiritual, I'm gonna have to give up coffee.
Mhm.
And I sat with it for a few days, and I was like, "Am I gonna give up coffee because I think this is bad? Like it's damaging me." And I just decided, you know what? Like I thought about it, and I had spiritual experiences after drinking coffee, um, and I was like, I don't think it's having that much of an effect.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna keep drinking coffee. And even if it is quote unquote bad out to get me, affects my abilities, um, I'll live with it.
Mhm.
And I think that's a really big point is don't believe obviously everything you're told. Um, obviously that's an easy one with coffee, right? Because half the world drinks coffee. You can probably make coffee, and I mean coffee can be a spiritual experience to some degree if you choose to make it that.
Yep.
Um, but it cannot be as well. And the same can be said for any of these things. Uh where it's out to get you. Yes, you're awakening to a different world. You're awakening to possibly creatures, demons, ghosts, whatever else it is that you didn't know, but they were there around you before you realized it.
Mhm. You just
They
got
were
the
always there.
memo later.
You just got the memo. They're probably paying a bit more attention to you because you're paying a bit more attention to them.
Mhm.
and you've just got to learn the rules and the codes and of how to deal with that stuff. And like for anyone that doesn't know that, highly recommend going and looking at our episode safekeeping, because that is literally all about protection,
Hmm.
um and keeping yourself safe,
Yep.
which I think is episode
Two,
3 if I
two
remember
or three,
correctly.
two or three. One of two or three. This is one of the very beginning ones. You'll find it.
Yeah. um so it it's a process. But it's also as well, like, if we're going to the extreme where it's about, uh, demonizing, because it's really what it is, demonizing, governments, groups of people, demonizing, religion and all that as suppressing the true reality of religion, right? Or the true reality of what things are. Over time, what you're probably going to find, like, don't get me wrong, some of these things are true that you're gonna hear. Some of them are not. Some of them are plain out flat lies. But at this point in time, you don't know what is real and what is not.
Welcome to planet Earth. No, like seriously, one of the bigger also issues with that is like you're gonna like there's a really strong pull when this is all happening to just get angry at anything. Like for example, I know a lot of people are gonna hate the ever living crap out of me for mentioning this, but that the whole topic of vegans and vegetarians, so how some people got a bit, intense on the whole point of like good and bad on that when there's no real thing like that. No one cares. Really, no one cares.
I
And
mean,
you'll
if you choose to do it and it's working for you and it's what you
that's
want,
it,
it's your
yeah.
choice. But I mean, I know for myself, I know people that have chosen to go vegan and then actually for their own physical body had to start eating red meat because they did not have enough iron and particular vitamins that they couldn't sustain themselves on substitutes, and like vitamin tablets. It was literally, well, you're either going to have to get like iron infusions, which obviously no one wants. Um you know, fairly regularly, and I mean reasonably regularly, or you just need to start eating red meat.
Yeah. I mean,
And it's not something you have to do all the time, but I mean, they did that for their own health.
yeah. at, I mean, at the end of the day, when you see like conversations like that pop up and everything, you just figure out and find out that hey, everyone's human. There's no
Mm.
real need to get into arguments or disagreements or this, that, and the other because there's no straight answer on anything, regardless if it's our biology, or if it's something spiritual or just even practical and tangible. Because in I don't know for someone this is gonna be helpful. Like, since there's quite a few research nuts that are gonna get into a bunch of like conversations and topics about like sleep rhythms and diet and how that's important and exercise and what unhealthy habits or behaviors may lower your vibration, which there's many. Um, when you get into that type of research, don't lose yourself, don't lose your mind, don't anything. It's helpful and useful, but at the same time, currently we're actually in a very lucky stage where a lot of that stuff is being debunked and there being just one right answer. Even with sleep rhythms, there's like a whole new research thing that happened a few years ago, learning styles to like there's no set definition for absolutely anyone um to have, like in terms of a perfect,
Mhm.
balance. So personal tip, don't get into arguments about that. You're gonna learn way more and like leave yourself with a lot more peace and enjoyment if you don't get into that, honestly.
But if you do get into arguments with people, have an open mind. Take
Yep.
in other people's opinions and informations. Obviously, keep your own. That's your compass. But also be willing to throw it out when it doesn't fit.
Mhm. Exactly it.
Take something new.
Because at the end of the day, ego trips happen to absolutely anyone. Doesn't matter how holy of the holiest you are, spiritual, not spiritual, this, that, and the other. W- when we find some type of aspect of truth for ourselves that actually works, we want to share with people to better their lives and our lives and connect more and like, get into a vibe and this, that, and the other. But that takes time. Also takes respect and also understanding and accepting opposing opinions because even if you're gonna like yell a bit or argue or this, that, and the other, by the end of that conversation, you can still stay friends. If it, suits like everyone involved, it's just important to get over that ego trip. And this is really important if you're going through a spiritual awakening because everyone likes feeling like they're great and smarter. I kicked my family's ass on this whole spiritual conversation when I first awakened was not a great idea. Now we're good. But that was like 2 years of bullshit for no fucking reason because I thought I was fucking better and I was really not. Same goes for like all of my friends. There's a lot of intellectuals or philosophers or people that are interested in mindfulness but don't follow it that do like talking about really deep conversations or things, but they don't all lead the same to the same place or they're not really expressed the same way. Um, and one thing that I learned is, oh, I am not just not any better than anyone else, but I am also learning how to balance that belief out so everyone has respect around me and I can have more of that for myself while I'm trying to find that better place within myself. And
Mm.
spirituality is my own personal thing. It's just for me. I can communicate it on it, connect with people, but it's not really something to distinguish, anyone by. Not really.
I mean, generally there are, I guess, the two types of people when you have your spiritual awakening. There's the people that see themselves as a small grain of sand in a large ocean. Um and that they don't necessarily go into as much ego of like I'm chosen. It's like I'm just having an experience of being spiritual. And then you've got obviously the second type, which is like I'm chosen, I'm spiritual, I'm awakened. Let me help everyone else get to being here, or sometimes it's not even let me help. Sometimes it's just like let me show you how much better I am than you.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing that usually gets triggered, but I think another one with it that's important is like feeling like you have a unbearable responsibility and you have to play your role or be that part. Cause it's either that ego of like I'm just better, which everyone has to some extent, but it's also, hey, I need to do this because I have the power and awareness and understanding, and it's not maybe
Hmm.
necessarily tied to being better, but it's more like I feel like I need to help people. I need to sacrifice. I need to fucking bring this home because this is my only chance at anything good this lifetime. That's a big one for a
Hmm.
lot of people that start out spiritual. If you had that at a very young age, you're gonna rework that and shift it over into something a bit more balanced and healthy, hopefully.
I mean, maybe. So you might have it for the rest of your life.
I mean, we'll see.
Um, but one of the big things, I guess, is thinking that you're special because you're spiritual, you're different, and there are people that they go through these awakenings and they start to believe that they're particular things that make them even better than people within the spiritual community. Like, no one's ever experienced ABC. Um, I'm here to tell you that before even I was born, people had experienced probably every single thing that I have already gone through in this life. That doesn't mean make my own personal experience less than anyone else's. It just means that I'm not like any different from the person beside me. I'm just my own version.
Hmm.
And that's special enough in itself. but it doesn't make me more special than the person beside me or the person in front of me or the person behind me.
Yep. Um, an important part or idea or like lesson or truth or philosophy that you learn along the way, not just in spirituality, but um, I don't know, it just only hit me and clicked in the most when I was going through spiritual awakening was, hey, everyone's gonna get to where you're going, and everyone, and you've already been where, or are gonna be where everyone else is. It's just about
Mm,
timing. It's just about where who everyone is in their own cycles and their own lives and their own aspects, because at the end of the day, time's kind of relative. You're going through just a point-based experience on whatever you choose at whatever given time. Um, for just an example, like let's say you're going through a little tiny Buddhism whatever awakening this lifetime in 2022. But then after this lifetime, you go to somewhere back in like 2700, 1700, whatever BC, before Christ, and do something else that is like way higher up. Like it doesn't matter, or you go to whatever lifetime just to be a toddler for the rest of your life because you want to experience life for being a toddler. No one's
mm.
better.
And I think this actually really comes into a big part of within the spiritual community. And this is something actually that doesn't just pop up in the awakening process. This pops up consistently um, throughout the whole entire community, which is spiritual bypassing.
Hmm.
Um, which, if you don't know what spiritual bypassing is, it's like um, this thing is happening and you just need to accept it because that's the way spirit works.
Hmm.
And it can be something that that person has created. Um I think an example from the last episode that we gave, uh, which was around twin flames, was someone believing that a partner that was married was their twin flame, and then pretty much just going, well, they're just going to have to accept that they're my twin flame, and they're going to leave their wife. Like, what? And the person's like, no, I'm not leaving my wife. I'm staying with my wife. And they're like, no, you don't get it. You're my twin flame, and you're going to leave. Like, obviously, that's an extreme example, but this can happen on a very small scale.
Hmm.
And uh, as humans, we fuck up, um, and we're all at some point going to spiritually bypass someone. It's a matter of how we deal with it, and when we've realized that we've done it, actually owning our own shit.
Yep, that's exactly it. I mean, life isn't really made up of all of the things or experiences or your journey tied into just one good emotion. At the end of the day, you have to go through the motions. You gotta go through the cycle of learning what is, there to be learned or experienced. Maybe you're not even gonna comprehend or understand any of it, what you're actually learning or going through. But that doesn't mean that you can just skip to the end or be like, no, I'm not going into this and I'm not doing this. Also, besides the point, but it's a very personal experience. You can have little tiny things you spiritually bypass on, basically be like, I don't need to figure this out or work on myself or take all of these different other avenues that might be
Mm,
realistic and practical for me to become better within myself. um that's like the hardest thing to realize and understand. You're gonna have to feel angry, you're gonna have to make mistakes, you're gonna have to um you know do that thing that you're like really either pretentious or terrified about. Let's just admit, like there's many situations like that. But at the end of the day, you're not here to have a fluffy, cushiony, great, amazing experience. You've chosen whatever
Mm.
experience you've chosen, and you're still making it and choosing it every single day to become better as who you are or what you are. If that's getting that 9 to 5 and making that happy family, and going through all of the emotions and etc. Eventually, maybe getting divorced, this, that, and the other. Yeah, that's great. That's that. Maybe it is quitting your freaking 9 to 5 and going into spirituality and becoming whatever fucking teacher that's gonna be recognized. Or maybe it's literally just you finding the middle ground between those two things, and seeing what your actual ambition is this lifetime, from your own perspective of being human here, not some infinite wise being that doesn't have any faults, because everyone has faults and we all fuck up all the time. That's why we're here and trying to have a good time while fucking up.
100%.
So don't be so hard
And
on yourself, but do not be, bypassing.
don't be pretentious.
Don't be pretentious. That's
don't,
not
don't
cool.
don't be a pretentious ass. And one of the things I actually wanted to point out is as well is just because someone else isn't spiritual doesn't mean you can't have general conversations with them. Yeah, sure, you may not talk to them about, like ghosts and angels and all this, but you can still have a conversation about your life and have communication and connect with them on a different level. And that may be exactly what you need to hear in the conversation that you actually need to have versus actually having the conversation around, well, guides, this, angels, there's a demon chasing me. When in actual sense, what's going on is your job's crap, um, and you want to leave your job.
Mhm. Simple as.
Um, talk just because they're not spiritual doesn't mean that they don't understand the concepts of being human. Same also goes within the spiritual community. If they don't know something about something, that's an opportunity for you to explain how you're feeling and what you've experienced. And if they believe it or not, that's up to them.
Mhm.
It doesn't make your experience less or their experience more.
Exactly. You just gotta take the experience for what it is, one step at a time, and not have people in boxes because you have a new faith or belief or whatever. Um, Becoming spiritual does not teach you shit about life. We're still all very confused and lost and making, whatever we can of it. Spirituality just only expands your awareness on like the whole array of colors and the big spectrum of all of the little tiny nuances and details of what you go through within your heart and within your mind, but it doesn't teach you anything more so, than what you could learn from, having a simple coffee with your
Mm.
best friend and talking about why, your boyfriend sucks or this, that, and the other. Um, Spirituality will
A
help, but
big one, a big one actually, is within the spiritual community, love and light. Everything that's
ah, that's the great one.
love and light,
I'm
like
still
sending you
working
love
through
and
that.
light,
Mhm.
love and light, no darkness. It's all just love and light. Like just send love and send light. Ignore the darkness. Um, and I mean, don't get me wrong, sending love and light is important, but you also need to acknowledge the fact that there is darkness, there is shadow, there is bad shit that's going on in the world. I mean, at the moment when we're recording this episode, like things like there's wars going on in the world, right?
Mhm.
That's sending love and light isn't gonna do anything in that scenario for the people that are experiencing it right at this very moment in time.
Yep. Fact. Eh,
It's not gonna feed them. It's not gonna, you know, maybe they get a hug, but it's not gonna keep them safe in a shelter.
exactly it. Um, at the end of the day, there's the 3D world here, actual planet you feel and you wake up to every single day. You can pinch yourself. It's not a dream. And there's like this belief that this is the most flawed place ever, which it is, but it's not flawed because everything down here sucks. No, it's a manifestation of something that is in other dimensions and higher aspects of yourself as well as shared with fucking absolutely everyone else. It's natural, it's normal. There's like this belief that, let's say, higher selves or spirits or guides or whatever are better because they don't have the abundance of shadow, dark, and misery and bad emotions and this, that, and the other. I'm sorry to whoever I'm saying this that's yelling in their screen and disagreeing with us both currently, but I'm just gonna have to burst your bubble and say, no, that's not how it works. I wanted to swear, but I'm not gonna. Like, if you have a life down here that's, let's say, anywhere like up to like 70, 60, 50, whatever, 80, 90 years, right? And you have hang-ups since you were a little boy, little girl, you have trauma from your first date or prom when you were 16, 17, 18. You had a bunch of crap when you got into your new family and this, that, and the other. And you've worked past a lot of that, but you still have a lot of hangups. Why does it mean that a higher level aspect of you, a older aspect of you, one that's probably way bigger as well in terms of all of the memories and experience that have been had, will not have hangups, will not have anger, will not have sadness, will not have just baggage in general on like hoarding whatever their shit is. That doesn't add up. That doesn't make sense. What everyone just comes down here because they're so bored of heavenly light and beautiful things and love that it's essential and needed for us to have a shovel of crap into our faces. No, no, like as above, so below. It's all reference, it's all connected. Not in the same way, it's not direct. Like there's definitely a lens that, breaks like and has a different angle to it or reflects a different light, but at the end of the day, you as well as other people are going through a massive amazing experience where you have the choice to authentically go through your bullshit as well as achieve and feel the things that you want, but it's a roller coaster. It's gonna take effort. It's gonna take time. And you can't bypass that because some of the things you're working on right now is an accumulation of a pattern that has been repeated throughout lifetimes and lifetimes and is stuck somewhere way high up within your higher self or so, like psyche basically or soul self. And it's okay and it's all right. Don't be pretentious. Just go and do that. Also, just, let go a little bit. There's no ultimate perfection nowhere, anywhere, everywhere. This planet is a perfect example of that middle ground, that golden ratio of all of the fucked up things and all of the best things that you can have in one place, um, in a very distinctive and its own manner precise expression. It's not here to be enjoyed for everyone or by everyone, but it's also not here to be hated and despised by everyone. It's a balance.
For me, and this is my own personal belief and understanding of what Earth is. For me, Earth is a school. And it's a school for us as souls to come here. We pick the lessons we want to learn. I want to learn forgiveness. I want to learn, and we've spoken about this, I think, in episode 1 or 2. um I want to learn forgiveness, I want to learn this, that, and you have those experiences. And if you don't choose to have those experiences, then like, and you don't choose to play them out the way that you kind of picked them out to play, they repeat. um it's a school that we're here to learn from. And the reason we're here to learn is because our soul has this deep desire to continue to grow and develop, but it also needs to get over the stuff that we fucked up, 10 lifetimes ago, 1,000 lifetimes ago, whatever it is that have accumulated um, over time. Now, I will add that, um, to this. that just because we're here to grow and learn doesn't mean we're not here to have fun and enjoy it.
Hmm.
Don't get sucked into the trap that I'm just here to learn and grow, and I've got to keep looking for that next thing in order to help my soul to get to like the ascension, to get to that next level, to get to the higher level of spirituality. Have fun. Enjoy it.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you're going to get to the end of your life. You're going to be sitting down watching the recap of your life and going, hmm, didn't really have much fun. I just kept trying to look for lessons to grow and wondered why I was so sad and upset and angry with not only myself but the world.
Yep.
Angry at humanity. Because that's where that leads. It leads to you hating not only yourself but hating humanity.
It's uh it's a perfect balance of the two, work and play. Just how we're trying to kind of find that within our adult lives. That's exactly the same prospect kinda up there. There's workaholics, there's lazy people, this, that, and the other. But it's not just about achieving a set goal or honestly feeling just great all the time. You're not gonna be in a better place if you're gonna achieve more spiritual goals that you set out for yourself and then, go to that review part at the end of your life. um you're not gonna even see a jump in progress or profit like you usually would here. Like here, at least you can sacrifice your personal life for work, and you'll have at least a lot of money if you find a way to do that. You're gonna have like a sort
Mhm.
of settled house and all of the quality things. Not up there. That doesn't happen. Sadly, I'm just gonna like put that out there and burst your bubble. You like the most progress you can make for yourself at a soul level is balancing out work and play because they help like structure both of the things as you're climbing up and you get the most like purpose out of it, as well as the best feeling even with all of the pitfalls and downfalls. But it isn't
Mm.
easy to achieve, because you need to figure out how to set your focus, how to actually build towards that, and how to maintain it as well. Focus is one of the most like important things in my opinion. What you focus on will grow. So focus on the things that you need to in a harmonious way for your best experience. And that doesn't mean having a perfect balance at all times between work and play. No, sometimes it means you completely go off the handle and you're probably not working and you're getting drunk and you're getting this and that. You're kind of fucking some shit up. You're losing money. You're breaking some relationships apart. Maybe, like doing some really crappy things that you wouldn't want to do, but you
Mm.
needed to anyway, and you're gonna bounce back from that into a different balance eventually. It's all just a matter of perspective, and you're not gonna be perfect and holding on to whatever actually works. Different things work at different times. Not everything is needed to be completely, perfectly added up. Life's not perfect.
Yep. And and it will balance out. There will be moments that you have lots of work, and there'll be moments where you have lots of fun. Um, if you allow that balance to play out.
That's
It's
important.
not so if you allow that balance to play out, for one, so you can't control it is the big thing. Like generally controlling it just ends in disaster. You generally tend to get one or the other more, and you can't get the other side.
Hmm.
Like why can't I I'm just working, work, 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 work. Where's all the fun?
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden you get all the fun, but then the work disappears and you're like, shit, kind of screwed myself. I'm really enjoying this fun, but kind of need to work. um, so don't try to control it.
I mean, we can even just give an example because there was a practical example that everyone experienced back in 2020 when it seems like such a fun and great thing that you're gonna have some time off of work. Even the kids had this. Even the fucking kids had this. Like, oh yay! No, get me back into school. You know,
Yeah.
and that's exactly the same. Like, you're 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 gonna have ebbs and flows, and it's just gonna have to happen.
It's a dance. Start to try and learn the rhythm. You're gonna take missteps. Um, but if you start to get the flow of it, you're gonna follow it along a lot easier and you're gonna balance it out more.
Mhm. Yep.
The last point, and I think this is the one that's gonna wrap us up, is one of the biggest, I guess, pitfalls when you awaken is that you lose touch with reality.
Mhm.
Um you get sucked into this whole magical world and sunshine, unicorns, rainbows, everything's amazing. You're like, wow, I'm seeing pretty colors or whatever it is you're seeing or hearing or experiencing, and you're just like, this is the best thing ever. I'm just gonna stay in this world, like, thank you, kind of kid in like a lolly shop, like, where can I get more of this? Um,
Rose tinted glasses and everything. Like, this will never end. I just found the
this will
answer to
never.
life.
And when we go through this phase, and I think most people at some point go through this phase quite quickly, we lose touch with reality. Um, we can't. You generally tend to find you can't connect with people that aren't spiritual. You're like talking to them, and it's like, I'm not connecting with you. Like, are you speaking the same language as me? Like,
Mhm.
I want to just talk about rainbows. I just want to talk about unicorns. I just want to talk about like witchcraft or whatever it is, right?
Mhm.
Um,
I just want to do
because
this
that's my world.
abundance ritual. You want to join me? Oh, you don't believe in
Yeah,
this.
like, no, well, like, I guess we're not going to connect on this. And this kind of brings us full circle, right? You're losing your identity. This is also a portion of that where you're falling into this magical world, but this magical world is also within reality.
Mhm.
Um, the two are connected.
Yep.
There is no one without the other.
Exactly it. Um, and yeah, the reason that happens is there's a lot of benefit to getting into spirituality and spiritual ways, and you can distinctly say it's like see how your life changes without being forceful about it within like physical reality, or how to actually truly achieve your heart's desires and aspirations. And it is in general, sorry, it was 58:58, and I wanted to randomly fucking say that because it was just so bang on the freaking clock. Someone just read up on that freaking number before I lose my thought. Um, in general, like things you work out in spirituality, you do achieve the goals you wanted. You do see the changes that can happen from you having open-hearted like conversations, apologizing, meditating, getting into a better like diet, or in general like getting a lot of stuff off your chest through like various means, and that directly doesn't just change your life, but directly changes the entirety of who you are or believe to be, and how you act, and all of the like most horrific hang-ups that you've had about yourself do like trickle away or whatever. That's not just achieved via spirituality. That is in general
Mm.
kind of really thankful, like that's something you should be thankful for or to in terms of mindfulness and mental health primarily. Honestly, spirituality does help you It is grand. It is great. You connect to so many different things that are really interesting and kind of do expand your awareness or understanding on the universe at large, or what are multiple dimensions, how time works. Like, you can find out some really crazy stuff. And it is real. It is real. Like astral projection, for example. Anyone that's had that or knows how that works, that realm, can indefinitely say that that place matters, but you're not here to be a spiritual being on earth. You're here to be
Mm,
human. You came down
yeah.
here to be human primarily, and to balance that aspect out of yourself, because it's like accumulation, amalgamation of a lot of really important aspects from higher up. Let's say it this way. Like how everyone likes finding out details and nuances on their psyche, like, the branches that are really far away but and have really quite a lot of impact, but you can never see them because you're fucking lost in all of the other like stuff that you have there. This is basically bringing down all of those branches into one place down here and having the opportunity to just only focus on them. Um, and have like a real experience where you're believing it. It is real. It is true. It has an impact on yourself as well as other people and your surrounding environment. Getting sucked and lost into fantasy, making it way more beautiful, will not really help you. Uh, Balancing out the point that there's unicorns, also finances and taxes and death, will probably help you out a bit more so than just being like,
Mhm.
oh, so it's all energy and everything's manipulated and connected. It is, but
And it is, but we're still in the real world. You're a spiritual being having a human experience, therefore acknowledge and accept the experience of what being human is, which is paying taxes. It is death, it is change, it is all of those things, like eating food, having friends, having lovers, maybe creating a family if that's what's in it for you. um it's all of those things. And without those things, we would just be spirit. We would not be human.
yep. I mean, the um the ones that into Buddhism might hate me for saying this, but one of the things that I really liked about, for example, Buddhism was meditation. But then I realized, hey, I wouldn't really get into Buddhism because I would want to learn how to meditate so I can enjoy my 3D physical reality and experience. At the end of the day, I do want to know what is, touch, substances, what is like actual relationships, what's a healthy balance of having shit and not having like, money or whatever. How do I click all of that together? Um, so, you know, just find that middle ground for yourself, because at the end of the day, you're a spiritual being, being a human. You have to find balance in both. Otherwise, you're gonna go back home and be like, I'm not going back there. I kind of had a sucky experience. I don't know why. Oh yeah, because I didn't have fun, and also this, that, and the other.
Mm. So that is it. Those are the major pitfalls. This is your guide to the waking up process that you're either, you're going through at the moment, or you're sending this to someone, or you're just going over that period of your life and figuring stuff out. It can also be obviously that second awakening, third, fourth, whatever it is, right? Because you can go through multiple awakenings in a lifetime, um, to help guide you so then you don't fall into these small traps that we can create loops in and get stuck in for a period of time.
Mhm. Or lifetimes.
Uh, Lifetimes. I will also say and add, um, everything that we've spoken about today, we ourselves have experienced on some level and degree. We're not superhuman. We don't avoid the traps. Part of the reason we know the traps are there is because we've experienced them,
Mhm.
whether it be for ourselves personally, but also other people around us as well. Because sometimes it's like, oh, I've experienced that, but the only reason you pick it up is because you see someone else going through it. and then it gives you the, "Oh,
Mhm.
oh, that's I remembered that phase." Makes sense now, that's what I was experiencing.
Mhm. And I mean, if you've went through some of these things or whatever, don't take it against yourself. One of the best teaching aspects or moments that you get from all of this is you get to accept yourself being embarrassed and slightly silly. All of this stuff I've been dealing with, and I'm still dealing with, and I'm still hung up on it, and I'm still kind of fucking stupid. I'll just admit that, and I take it with an open heart. It's not about getting it perfect or right. It's about going through the journey and taking the steps. And some of them you're gonna have, others you won't. We don't know anything. At the same time, just trying to share and help. If something
Mm.
didn't resonate, it didn't resonate. If something did resonate, well, whoop de doo. I hope it helps you.
And you might come back to this episode in time. Something may not resonate today, but in 6 months' time, 12 months' time, you might come back to this episode and go, "Oh my god, so right."
Mhm.
Um, you hear the information, you accept the information when you're ready to accept and hear it.
Mhm. On a lighter
Mm.
note, I feel like there's someone that's gonna mention the whole pretentious point. I'm looking forward to that. I feel like there's gonna be a bit of a boomerang on that as well. That's gonna be fun.
This has been Awaken Dreaming.
Mhm.
My name is Jess,
I'm Yuta, and it is.
and
Are we gonna say it at the same time? No, I'll let you sing it out. I think I've said it like
it's
50 times.
it's time to start living.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
See you next episode.